For a new and different perspective every week on LEGO sets, news, media, and more, you're listening to the BCC Podcast. Today is Thursday, February 4th of 2021, and you're listening to episode 250 of the BCC Podcast. Joining us today is our guest, LJ.
Hello.
Hey, LJ, it's been 2 months since we last had you on?
Not too terribly long, no.
Yeah, we finally gotten a bit better about scheduling stuff, so...
Yeah, just
Oh yes, actually there's quite a bit of Bionicle discussion tonight. This will be our most Bionicle-based podcast in years.
You're gonna have a better guess.
Also joining us, Maluris.
Don't you usually save the guests for last?
We changed it.
Okay. Well, I'm here too.
Leo.
Throughout the duration of this podcast, in honor of the Bionicle news, I shall eat a Toa Mata Liwa set to the music of Flight of the Bumblebee.
Ford.
Is there any blood in it?
Good evening, everybody.
And Orion.
Violence, blood, guts, edgy Lego content. That's what we got here today. Well, not edgy at all, actually. I don't know. We'll find out as we look at violent Lego sets, right?
Yeah, this is actually, we talked about this for a bit last time LJ was on. Like you mentioned, we could probably go on for a long time just talking about Lego and violence. So that's one of the things we're going to talk about today, but also wanted to talk about the Lego 90th anniversary poll and some updates for that. So, for
Should
those...
we let LJ lead with that?
I mean, if he wants to, feel free.
I certainly can. It's a fairly succinct update to things. So, about a week or so ago, LEGO began a LEGO Ideas contest celebrating 90 years of the LEGO Group in 2022. As such, they've started a contest to vote for your favorite LEGO theme, or classic LEGO theme at least. They released a list of 30 classic LEGO themes, and whichever were the top three would move on to a second poll, and one of those from the top three would become an actual one-off set celebrating 90 years of LEGO to release in 2022. Of those, Bionicle was listed along with a myriad of friggin' castle themes. Bionicle ended up taking the cake with basically no contest. But LEGO was like, oh,
Sorry.
but if you take all these
Contest.
castle themes and you tally up all the votes of the individual castle themes, then they're more than Bionicle. So we're also going to include castle with the top three, making it the top four. Even though, all the castle themes had an unfair advantage because they were all basically the same thing, but you could vote for three different things at once, so you could basically vote for castle three times.
They did mention they only include unique votes for one of the castle themes.
Did they?
Yes.
Good.
In what way?
Fair enough. In that case, really, this contest is just Castle versus Bionicle, because now we have Castle, Classic Space, Pirates, and Castle all vying for the top spot. One of those four is going to have an official LEGO set next year. That's where we are. It has been a bloodbath. It has been meme-filled. It has been obnoxious because we get to see the unfortunate, ugly face of the snobby classic AFOL.
Oh, and that's a can of worms. Also, it is worth mentioning, this poll actually has nothing to do with which theme will become a set.
Yeah, this is just whichever one's the most
I do
popular.
not believe that at all.
It's just one of these four that's going to end up being the set.
What is the point of having a poll if you're not listening to anyone who's making it, who's fueling your
Ryan,
you may as well
we do that every 4 years.
Well, that's different. That's different.
But that doesn't count anymore. Come on, man.
Listen, if the presidents were all Lego sets, my votes probably would be different all the times I had voted. Based on the structure, the malleability, the color, it just depends on everything.
Your thoughts on foreign policy?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
what happens in Denmark stays in Denmark, you know.
But anyway, I think basically it's to give Lego an out so that they can do whatever they want in the end.
But I don't think they'll just entirely disregard it and be like, well, that had all the votes, but like, forget about that. Let's talk about this instead. Like, I don't think like it wouldn't make sense, especially if you have a theme that ends up getting like an overwhelming amount of votes. You're basically printing money by making that set. I don't know, if you don't make that set, maybe you lose out on all the people who had even voted for the other one. So it seems very counterproductive. I don't know.
The AFOLs who vote for Pirates, Castle, Town, and Space will still buy whatever set. They just won't buy Bionicle.
Oh,
That is true.
the prejudice, the racism.
Now, if
They
we
can't keep
Bionicle
oppressing us
Train,
like this.
if they made Bionicle Train, maybe.
Yeah,
They
if
made
the
the hype
Bionicle was a
train.
train, if they made the hype train, I feel like there's enough Tom's the Tank Engine fans out there that we could get off the ground easy.
The conductor can be Greg, you know. Big
I
cow
still-
on the caboose.
I still think actually Bionicle has a good chance of winning this overall poll.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it does have a good chance, if only because there's one vote and system fans are going to be split between
Mhm.
Castle, Space, and Pirates. Because it's important to note the wording here. They say if we add up every user that cast either 1, 2, or 3 votes for Castle, that's 33,489 users. That
Mhm.
doesn't mean they exclusively voted for Castle. That
Mhm.
means literally anyone that had Castle in their top 3 picks. Because the first poll, you could vote up to 3 different themes. So you could
Yeah.
have someone hypothetically that voted for Bionicle and also voted for one of the myriad of Castle themes. So
Now I'm so curious what
Wait,
the overlap is.
I just want to say, like, is Time Cruisers technically a castle theme? Because I know there's some castle elements in there.
No.
Okay, good. I didn't give any votes
Time
to
Cruisers
Castle.
is about as much a Castle theme as Nexonites is.
My
Well, okay,
conscience is clear.
bad comparison.
Nexonites is a
Wait, LJ, what are you talking about?
Literally, I couldn't have picked a worse theme.
Try Ninjago. Try Ninjago.
LJ
What
was
about-
basically like,
What about Master of the
it's
Mountain?
not like Neon Castle, basically.
Here, okay, sorry. So, Time Cruisers is about as much Castle as Bionicle is. There we go. So,
Alright.
there's
Not counting the Praga Stronghold. That's my favorite Lego castle.
Yeah. Also,
Yeah, that's
Battle
fucking
for
out.
Metro Nui. That was the whole Coliseum is technically a castle.
It's a citadel of sorts, you might say.
Yes.
You know, the typewriter's technically
The
a castle
Tower of
when you think
Toa.
about it.
Come
I'm
on,
gonna
son.
beat you over the head with a
Every
typewriter.
chest.
Why
Every
would the
chest
Vizirac
will
have a
count.
battle ram if they're not going to ram any castles
right.
down with?
I'm gonna
Come on.
derail wherever this is going and say Lego should have really just made 3 anniversary sets.
Yeah.
For Space Town and Castle.
Ooh, I don't know though, because you told me earlier that to make like fresh Bionicle molds, it would cost millions.
They're not
of
gonna make a
dollars,
bunch
which-
of fresh molds for this.
Well, to
Okay,
me,
I
that just
think-
boggles the mind though why it would cost so much. But
People are they're really setting their expectations up for total and complete failure. You will never see original Bionicle sets released in the modern age as they were released back in the day ever again.
Mhm.
I
You're
don't
not
understand why
getting
it's so
Tahu-
expensive though. Like,
You're not getting a construction Tahumata. It's not happening. It's going to be either partially or substantially or entirely system built from here on out.
I can live with that, I guess. I'm just frustrated that it won't happen.
At this
Like,
point, I'm
I'm
pretty
not-
sure even CCBS has been largely retired.
Correct.
But I don't know why. Like you told me earlier, Liam, that like the way that they do production. Is
Yeah,
just
the
really
molds are
weird.
incredibly expensive to make.
But why?
Because that's how manufacturing works.
I
No.
can't tell you why. I can't say if there's maybe a better process Lego should be looking into. I don't know enough about it.
LJ, do you know like the Lego mold guy who like lives in the Lego basement and the Lego castle basement, and he like makes the molds, or he like pulls them out of a magic portal or something? Like, what's the process? Why do they cost so much?
Unfortunately, I do not know the process. My understanding is that it's an expensive material that they use, and keep in mind, in factories they can only make so many Lego pieces.
True.
So whatever in order to make a new piece, presumably speaking, you would have to swap something else out. So when something gets made, something else isn't getting
Which
made. You
goes
always have to prioritize.
goes into another issue about Lego stocks, not stock like stock market, but like their just ability to produce sets has been way too slow lately. So much is just sold out all the time. Lego really needs to up that.
It's not really
I'm also
production,
assuming,
it's
like,
delivery and shipping.
I'm assuming also
the manufacturing plants creating stuff like bricks for Lego, they're not making it like to order, like, oh, here's an order for this, let's make it and send it out. I'm assuming they're like theoretically backed up for like a year or more making different, like, same pieces for Lego, basically.
Yeah.
Like they probably have orders up to certain dates that they're filling out. So if you want like new molds or you want new pieces or something, then you have to like allocate not only funding but like a lot of time for these other factories to catch up or like build new machinery to make these things. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, there's also the fact you have to hire someone to make the mold. To,
like, again, I want to know this mold guy. Who are the mold people at Lego?
There are resources out there that talk about this. I'd have to remember what they are.
I feel like
Lego designing process.
I feel like Daniel Day-Lewis is somewhere, and he's like the guy they call when they need to make new molds or something. Like, he hides out.
Let's see if.
But regardless, yeah, I completely agree with LJ. This is not going to be like a classic Bionicle set. It's going to be a set that's an homage to Bionicle, if they even do it.
Well, we were theorizing that it would just be the Lego Ideas set, basically.
Well,
Not that, but maybe something like that.
Look, just give me a brick-built Great Spirit robot.
They're not going to do that.
That's not iconic.
Look, also give me the
and it would be too big. It would be too
give me
big.
the option to also make the prototype robots so I can get 2 of them. And display them just
Ford, what did we just say about setting your expectations too high?
See, I feel like Ford's expectations are actually higher than mine.
Well, here's the thing. If they don't do it, then I'm gonna figure it out for myself.
Okay.
It's time to do things, man.
I think Dakota had you covered.
Ford has a pretty reasonable idea, and this is something I've been hearing a lot in the community. I've had several discussions.
And that's the thing, like, do
They
it and
released-
give me options. Like, you want to go classic? Give me options within a
No
like,
way.
a
Well,
set
okay.
that
Wait,
you advertise. As
wait,
one
wait,
thing. That's
wait.
the thing.
Okay.
For the 90th anniversary, they release a brickhead of the Matanui robot.
All right, go ahead, LJ.
Ford, your expectations for a Great Spirit robot, I think, are actually fairly reasonable. I think it's perfectly reasonable to expect if they were going to release anything from Bionicle, it's either going to be Tahu in some way, shape, or form, because of course it would be, or it'd be a Great Spirit robot, because, and Meso, he's made great points about this in the past, that has a very wide appeal, a Great Spirit robot does, because what's not to like? You see, you capture so many different people with a Great Spirit robot, okay? Bionicle fans, because it's Great Spirit robot. You can't capture the Castle fans, because it's giant brick, it's gray, made of bricks.
I feel like I feel like you're losing the
You
castle
get all the
analogy
classic
again.
space people, because the point of the robot was to travel through space.
Ooh, yeah, that's true.
And you get all the pirate people, because what was the point of the robot?
To pirate
To
knowledge?
pillage and plunder from other cultures.
Ah.
Well, to get knowledge of the cultures, but
You get everyone, and you even get a little bit of the Star Wars people, because I mean, like I just said,
No, please, I
Large
don't
and
want the
gray.
Star Wars people.
you
No.
could literally just take off the head and replace it with the Iron Giant, and it would get the same effect.
Well,
Yeah,
Seriously.
we were also talking earlier about how if they did if I was going to see like a brick built set, like an entirely brick built set, it'd be cool if they did like the beach scene with the canister, and then you have like the thing that the canister came out of, like the mouth thing that it shoots out of, then you have the canister as well, like the
the beach.
actual canister.
Ryan, when was the last time you played the Montanui online game?
I don't know, a while ago. Do not don't question me on this, okay? I've beat Matanui Online Game 2 more times
You're wrong, though.
than you could count. I'm wrong though. Wait,
Yeah.
what am I wrong about?
The canister does not come out of the mouth. That's where Takua pops out from the Borok caves.
So I thought that's
No,
beach.
the canister
Oh,
comes from the
duh,
sea.
no. I always conflate those two. Well, no, I always conflate those two though because when I was younger, I didn't know too much about the lore. So when I was playing the game, I just assumed that that's where it had come from because the way it's positioned, it looks like it just shot out of the mouth. Okay, sorry, I messed it up. Sorry, Bionicle fans.
But I would
In
say
my presence.
the Great Spirit Robot is a better expectation than like a contraction set. I still don't see them doing that though.
Microfigure top.
Yeah,
the
What
future.
do you see them doing?
You know what? Now that you mention it, I don't see them doing that either. Like the Stone Mech, the mech from the Ice Chapter Ninjago, Zane's Ice Mech that releases this year, Voltron. Completely unrealistic.
No, I'm not saying it couldn't be a set. It totally could. I just don't think that's where Lego is going to dive into if they do this. I don't think Bionicle is going to be made a set at all. I don't think Lego will do it, honestly.
It would be Taku as a macro figure with a brick built mask.
No,
do
brickhead
think,
at GSR. Okay,
But I think if anything, it's going to be something much smaller. I don't expect this to be a large set. I think $30 at most.
It's gonna be a Bionicle typewriter. Let's get real, guys.
It's only a brick built wooden duck.
I could be wrong, and I'm totally willing to be wrong. But I just don't see Lego putting a ton of resources into this. I think it's meant to be a smaller thing.
They should just have skewed the poll and done UCS Lego duck.
They already did that.
Yeah,
They made a Lego duck.
Yeah.
Make it brick.
They made it
Brick-built
life
Lego.
size. Yeah, brick-built Lego duck that was life size.
Was it?
You guys are
No,
just
I
really
thought that was
tampering.
wooden one.
You guys are tampering my spirits here. At this point, I'm so
Don't you be tampering?
beaten down. I'd probably be willing to admit that Small Yellow wasn't a terrible set or an
It was
idea.
a brilliant
It was
set.
a great idea. Stop thinking it wasn't.
Okay, maybe I'm not that beaten down that I'd admit that.
Wrong
No,
opinion.
I still got some fight left in me.
The doc.
Oh,
It was a
where's
Lego
Brick?
House promotional from 2020.
Hey, wait, let's see.
It's
What
a promotional. That's why I didn't see it.
This is actually neat. I like this.
See, this should have been the 90th anniversary set.
I agree.
I don't.
Oh, you're wrong.
Well, that's your problem, Liam.
I will say, it's been very interesting seeing this contest because a lot of people have been saying, why would you pick Bionicle? Why would you pick Bionicle?
What?
Not
Stop
real
doing the duck voice, LJ.
It's
Stop.
not even Lego. And it's really fascinating to see all of the snobby AFOLs come out of the woodwork to try and gatekeep. It's like,
Well,
your Lego
actually, a ton of
isn't real
younger
Lego
people
because
doing
I
that too. Like,
did
they don't even know what Bionicle is, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you kids just want your Bionicle because you're memeing, or maybe we just want Bionicle because
Yeah.
that's our favorite Lego. Have
Mhm.
you considered that much?
The boomers
Also,
are
we're
against
not
us.
kids
The zoomers
anymore.
are against us.
And
People who grew up with Bionicle they're either in their mid to late 20s or they're early to mid 30s.
mhm.
Ugh,
Yeah, that's
They're
the-
not
hurts.
children.
That's the
LJ,
thing to
I'm
think
not,
about.
I'm not at my 30s yet. I'm not there. Stop it. I'm a young lad still.
Ford's gonna be like 30 next year.
No.
Well, that is something to think
No.
about. Actually, like our group, the BCC group, we're all in like the 21 to 24 age range now. We're on the younger side of Bionicle fans, like the classic fans at this point.
Well, I didn't even get into Bionicle until like the year before it ended, actually. So
We have members in TTV that are in their early 30s. BZ Power,
Mhm.
they have staff that are in their their early to mid 30s.
Their best days are behind them.
don't say that. Teddy Roosevelt said that the best years of a man's life are between the ages of 30 and 60. Okay.
How long did he live? Is
I
he
don't
still
know, he was-
alive? Well, he's
Long-
alive
no.
in spirit. But, you know.
But
I'm
anyway,
not gonna trash Teddy Roosevelt.
sorry,
Go on.
I didn't mean to go that far off track.
Stop being ageist, Liam. We're all gonna get there eventually.
sure some of
Soon.
them, their best days are behind them, though.
Can we talk
I
about
mean, like,
violence?
if you guys keep like just living on a diet of like Bud Light and like macaroni and dehydrated hamburgers, yeah, your best days will be behind.
That's
you
Kevin's
soon.
diet.
Oh, well,
No, I think he's doing that on purpose.
Is all of it got way just to get Kevin to admit his sins of?
you need to eat more duck, okay?
I would like to try duck at some point.
But anyway, back on track again.
Can we talk about violence?
Well, it's
Almost.
gonna get violent soon.
Yeah, this is gonna segue into.
I am gnashing at the bit.
But to build on LJ's
Don't
point,
ask too much,
not
you
only
might get
are like
violent.
all Bionicles older, we are not niche, really. If this poll
Right.
proves anything, Bionicle fans are
Yeah.
still out there, and they're pretty large in numbers too. There
And-
are a
and
lot
honestly,
of
like,
fans.
and we're a
It-
lot more organized than I thought we.
You know, it
honestly.
is interesting though that there's a lot of Bionicle fans who aren't exactly fans of Lego per se. Like, there's, at least in my experience, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of Lego Bionicle fans who are fans of Lego as well. But then there's a lot of people who are like big on Bionicle when they were really young, but now they moved on and they're still kind of fans of Bionicle, but they don't do much with Lego now. But then, like, I'm assuming this kind of brought them out of the woodwork. Just like how you have a lot of Lego fans who aren't fans of Bionicle for different reasons.
It's very interesting to see the numbers specifically because Lego Ideas released numbers. 24,799 people,
Mhm.
or
That's enough for
99 votes at the very least, were cast for Bionicle.
that's enough for 2 ideas projects.
I'm literally shaking.
Yeah, it is enough for 2 ideas projects, and in less time than an ideas project.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Hmm.
and it definitely didn't all come from a video I made, because that video only got about just shy of 10,000 views. So that's an entire half of that video, assuming everyone that watched it went and voted.
No, I
on
voted,
their
then I
own.
watched your video.
Thanks.
He saved the best for last.
But yeah, it's like the thing is, we have a very difficult time actually getting a gauge on numbers now because they're private. We don't know how themes are doing. We don't know what the end result is going to be until like the 11th or something.
Hmm.
Maybe Lego will tell us.
Yeah, and so like now we can only go off of video views or comments or stuff like that. I checked out the comments for mentions on this blog entry, like pirates, castle, space. They were all mentioned ballpark of like 300 to 600 times total. Bionicle was mentioned over 1,000 times. That
Wow.
isn't truly indicative of anything because, you know, people can comment saying they don't like Bionicle. People are commenting, but maybe the people that are voting aren't always commenting. It isn't a metric of which we can judge by. Videos people are making, they're getting certain amounts of views. The video I made, it's on its way to 7,000 views. 7,000 is not a lot in terms of this kind of a thing. You know, like Bionicle got 24,000. We're gonna need over 30,000 people, like over 35,000 people, to cleanly surpass the collective castle numbers from last poll. That's
Mhm.
a lot of people. And we have a week.
Well, but like you had said before, though, because there were 3 votes available, you could have had people who voted for Castle and Bionicle, and now they'll just vote Bionicle instead of Castle if they have to pick.
Presumably. Problem is, we should not
Presumably.
rely on that. We really should not rely on any of these numbers. And definitely,
I mean, I didn't vote last time actually, so I voted this time. There's one more. You got one.
fair enough.
Wow.
But yeah, no, it's like we definitely we need people to pull together. I've been seeing a lot of AFOLs being like, "You memers, people are just voting for Bionicle because it's a meme.
I've seen that
People are
around.
just voting for it because it's funny." Like, okay,
No.
well, sure, let me vote for Castle because I want to see another gray blocky structure again. at the
No.
beginning
No.
of
No,
the-
they're
Yellow
colorful
blocky
now, LJ.
Oh
Dude.
yeah.
To paraphrase one talking head, we like the meme. We like the theme.
Also,
We like-
Bionicle isn't getting popular because it's a meme. It's a meme because it was a cultural icon.
Yeah, right. That's the thing they don't understand. They quite literally don't realize it's a meme because it's popular. Like that's how that works. Not
It's like how well, it's like now how there's like a resurgence in like nostalgia for like the last like couple decades, like the 2000s and the 2010s. Now you have people like making big deals, so like, oh, like Twilight and like One Direction, like old Justin Bieber memes and stuff. Like all those things are like cultural icons as well. And like Bionicle shares a stake in that. Maybe not as cringy as any of those, but like you get my point. It's very ironic how so many people are online yet they don't understand like how online cultural significance works.
Yeah. Also, like, it's Bionicle going up against a theme that just got a set a few days ago, another theme that just got a set last year, and a third theme that has been in 2 multi-million-dollar theatrical release movies.
It's worse than that for that middle theme. It had 2 sets released last year. One which was a love letter.
Oh yeah, right. The creator.
One of which was a love letter to the theme entirely, which was born from Lego Ideas, meaning it already got 10,000 people to support it. But also a second creator set, which was made independent of everything, which had no community backing. Which means Lego's just kind of taking a gamble with that one. Ooh, I wonder if people like pirates. Let's go ahead and make a pirate set. Oh, look, coincides with this Ideas project, which is a commemoration to the entire theme.
And that's the thing, though. I feel like a vote for Bionicle is, and I don't want to sound like
is a vote for
this,
America.
Like, it feels like I'm punching up, because
Oh, yeah,
like
I mean,
Bionicle's
no,
this big thing.
stop.
But it feels like you're punching up. I don't know.
Yeah,
No.
Absolutely, 100%.
Because it's like you're sticking it to the boring AFOL that are in that gatekeeping mentality. You're right.
Yeah, no, I mean that's basically what it is, and I mean, like, it wouldn't be an issue if folks that sit there and go, "Well, it's not real Lego," realize that that's a ridiculous statement, for starters, and realized it like this doesn't need to be a thing. I've been having a lot of fun with all this. Like I've been having a blast, goofing off, having a good time, having fun. Because I believe firmly that's what it should be. We should all just be having fun, rooting for our favorite themes. There's no reason to be angry about it. There's no reason to be upset about things. There's no reason to get bitter or vitriolic or toxic. There isn't a good, justifiable reason, and there never will be, to be any of those things in this situation. So,
I mean, it's online though, so inevitably.
Why am I being referred to as an edgy meme lord in Lego communities?
Wait, LJ, aren't you an edgy meme lord though?
I am not.
Are you a dank?
Okay, fine. LJ is a wholesome meme lord.
I'll take that.
It's a Norway.
It's just like
LJ is a Reddit meme lord.
Why am I being called these things from people that are supposed to be representatives for Lego communities as well? Like that's massively inappropriate. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. It shouldn't be a thing. And yeah, it has been turned into a we should be having fun with this. Now we're going to prove to you, we're going to stick it to you that we're here, we're in large numbers. We've been waiting for this opportunity.
Our voices matter.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So it's like, yeah, you know what? You don't think it's Lego? We're going to show you exactly how much Lego it is.
Toa Jeton in our live chat says, a claim could be made that Bionicle got more mainstream attention than any Lego theme prior to that point.
Because it wasn't as like childish and Lego-y. Probably, yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, did you see like the Inika commercial? No, obviously you've seen it, but I mean, like in the Inika commercials, it's like, could you imagine like Lego minifigures trying to do that? It would look so friggin' dorky.
Well, not just that. Think of like the Mask of Light sweepstakes on Cartoon Network.
Like they
that drew in how many viewers?
Yeah, well, I don't. Well, that was also during like the era of like Toonami's peak when they were importing like anime over and stuff, and like Bionicle. Weirdly, like there's an overlap between Bionicle and like anime fans as well. There's like an international appeal to like a Bionicle that I think, especially for older people, are more like mature
people, I guess you could say, people into more different forms of media outside of Lego than just a Lego minifigure or any Lego product.
It certainly helps that Bionicle was so successful in the way it went about presenting itself. So this is something that I've like Greg Farshty, well-known author for the series, member of the
Critically
story
acclaimed.
team, current employees, the current editorial director for the company.
Actually, I think Greg's no longer with Lego
Why do you think that?
because he had an interview recently where he's talking about currently he's doing no work for Lego.
I mean,
Where did you find this? Like on the dark web?
Let me see if I can find it.
yeah. Also, check his LinkedIn. You know what? I'll do it.
That's really funny to me. Yeah, hang on a second. I'm gonna check Greg Farsh's LinkedIn page.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty. Pretty.
I don't know. LinkedIn has always been like a foreign concept to me.
Greg Farshty, editorial director at Lego Systems Incorporated.
So it still
Maybe he
shows
hasn't
that.
updated it. Maybe he hasn't updated it in a while.
I haven't touched my LinkedIn page in 6 years.
Let me find the interview. I did find the interview just a moment. I will scan. I may be wrong, but I recall reading this here. I just need to translate it.
From Maori or whatever. Maori.
I think it was originally posted in German. Just a moment here. You guys can go ahead. I will look at that.
So anyway,
wait, violence?
Oh yeah, here's the quote from Greg. Right now, I'm just working on my own stuff. I have not had any Lego-related freelance work in several years.
Lego-related freelance
work.
Okay.
So a freelance thing would imply that something he's hired for. He probably still has the regular Lego job as editor.
Yeah, what that means, so all of the Bionicle stuff, it was kind of a weird dichotomy because he was the author for the Bionicle novels, but those were published through Scholastic. So he was not paid by Lego to write those novels. He was paid by Scholastic to write those novels. Meanwhile, he was also a member of the Bionicle story team working for Lego, writing the comics.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was just confused by the response then.
And working with the actual story team. So all of the Bionicle novels were freelance work for Lego, technically. So he's still an employee for Lego. He's just not like doing that for like Scholastic.
All right.
That's what that means. So, in any case, Greg Farshty talked about this at length. I've talked to him personally about this, where he said this. Bionicle did a really good job of aiming high, gaining low. So it aimed at an older age range, an older audience, and achieved a younger one because all the older kids are getting into Bionicle and they're like, wow, this is so cool. Oh my gosh. And all the young kids are like, oh my gosh, my peers, my older brother, he's really into it and he's cool, so it must be cool. So I'm gonna get into it. And then I get into it and they realize, yeah, it is super cool.
This is how you indoctrinate.
Which is honestly something that marketing for children is lost now. Which, if you think about it, like, kids are very into, like, the Marvel movies and stuff, which are primarily aimed at adults, first off. That ends up being more popular than any children's media, because it's something that the older people like. So then the kids want to like it more.
And it's certainly more popular than the derivative and based cartoons that Disney puts out now.
Yeah. Disney makes cartoons?
Yeah. Didn't you know that? That's how they got...
But...
So it's interesting, but it helps that... So Bionicle helped really substantially pave the way for
violence.
I mean, yeah, essentially the topic of the day.
Yeah, that's what we actually wanted to get to here.
It took us 33
so
minutes.
Bionicle has not been controversial only in... Bionicle's history is really just a long line of controversies, actually.
So, it more or less, Bionicle was the focal point of two potential legal matters. One was the near lawsuit, the disputed, possible, maybe happened, maybe didn't, but near lawsuit with Maori people pertaining to word use in the theme. The other one was in 2006, where a mother sued the company because her child was scared by a Toa Inika commercial, which
I have not heard of that.
Hilarious because that helps fuel my distaste for the Inika, given that they are just generally comparable characters.
What?
And
that was like the best era.
Yeah.
Okay. Orion, you've got
like Rain and Fences.
No, it's my favorite too.
See, Liam backs me up on this. I'm not the only one who has terrible taste.
Oh, no.
You're
The
right.
best is the cityscape of Metro Nui.
Okay, that's not too bad because it draws them like, you know,
2001 to
anime.
2003, baby.
Okay.
No, I'm definitely Ignition trilogy person.
So the whole thing there, it scared a child, mother sued, lost, obviously. But it really goes to
She
show
just didn't
Bionicle
change.
is it was definitely something super different from other more traditional Lego themes and concepts. So Lego was not the first violent theme. Obviously, Lego has been doing violent themes, having characters with weapons or in combat.
But not as like emotionally or as like personally violent as Bionicle could get
Now,
within its story or
if I
its
could give a little
commercials.
more background here, when Lego was originally started as a toy, the Lego Toy Company, before even the bricks, the
Back
idea
in
was absolutely no conflict. It was a very old Danish idea of, well, after they got rid of their Viking ancestry, of course.
Well, wasn't it? Wait,
Kids.
when did it start? You said
90 years
1932.
ago. We just
Well, no, the date. I mean, the specific year.
1932, 90 years ago.
Well, yeah, that would have been like what after World War One, and then and
It
then
was in the midst of
before-
the Great Depression.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was
Yeah,
actually World
and
War
then you would've
One
had
was one of the reasons they had this policy.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. I meant like at the time, yeah, 100%. Like if I was some Danish guy, I wouldn't want to start a toy or anything that had any violence in it, just because of all the terrible stuff that happened.
But the problem is, boys need conflict to grow.
And yeah, it was a very slow transition from there, because at first you only had like town sets and stuff. There's no sort of conflict. Even like knights and pirates. Space, that was exploration stuff, so they were fine with that. But like knights and pirates at first, that actually broke something. They had to
And the
say,
Wild,
okay, we won't do modern combat at that point.
Wild West had guns.
Yes, and then that was another point where they had to loosen even more. Where they started doing, okay, we will do weapons, but they just can't be in soldiers.
Then they did soldiers in the Wild West.
Wild West is
so
interesting. Also, it's
been-
interesting to note Wild West wasn't in this poll, by the way.
Yeah.
the distinction here is contemporary war weapons.
Mm.
Or contemporary weapons of war. Basically, anything that is modern day, anything that you are likely to see actively being used in war.
Especially your search and rescue.
But yeah,
helicopters.
and that's definitely the modern one. I just wanted to point out that even that was kind of a fudging of the original rule.
And that was the whole reason behind why Lego for the longest time did not have gray in their color palette. And surprisingly enough, it wasn't actually Star Wars that kickstarted that. It came prior to that with Castle.
Mm-hmm.
But gray was originally not permitted for Lego pieces because the founder was afraid that children would create tanks.
To be fair,
Not realizing you can make a tank out of yellow.
yeah,
right?
that's
Like,
that I've made it no secret that I've always had an issue with the policy from the beginning that boys will turn anything into a weapon.
Yeah, give him a stick, it's a sword. Give him a
I
pair
can
of
understand to a point not doing like modern warfare and stuff like that from the original, like no weapons in Lego. Boys back then were still making it into weapons.
That's what ended up being the case. But yeah, it obviously switched. The creators were like, all right, yeah, this is silly. We're not going to get anywhere with this. So they switched it. We have gray. They introduced conflict. However, there is an important distinction. It is implied conflict. All of the conflict, I mean, no one's actually hurting each other. They all have weapons. They're all standing on one side of the box or the other. But there's no
It's-
actual hand-to-hand,
It's kind of like selling a sword as a butter knife.
more or less. So what ends up happening then is an internal struggle to get Lego Star Wars to be a thing, and the founders of Lego, the family was like, absolutely not. Are you out of your ever-loving minds? It literally has war in the name, and they have blasters, and they're fighting each other. Why would we ever? That's a lot of zeros on that paycheck. All right, Lego Star Wars it is.
What's interesting is during that time while they were battling Star Wars, Bionicle kind of just like slipped through the gate.
More more or less too, because Lego Star Wars only started in 1999.
99.
Bionicle, like, wasn't the first talks of Bionicle late 97, 98?
Yes, correct.
I think later towards 98.
Closer to 98 is when it really.
Because they still had the Slizers going on then.
So, which means like a Star Wars probably would have been prior to that. So, Lego Star Wars becomes a thing, massively popular, hugely popular, and just explodes whenever a new movie comes out. Fantastic. Lego, super happy. So then two other themes come out, Galador and Bionicle.
Galador!
They were still working on it because the late 1990s were an interesting time where Lego was basically taking any bowl of spaghetti they could get their hands on, throwing it against the wall, and see which ones stuck and which ones didn't. Unfortunately, most of it did not. So they're trying a bunch of different things. The company is falling into financial ruin. Star Wars is plugging holes, but unfortunately not fast enough.
I think it was Greg or someone too that mentioned like Star Wars and Harry Potter did significantly worse in the years there wasn't a movie released.
Yes.
Yes.
This is correct. Anytime there wasn't a movie, it was like, oh shoot, we are bleeding money because we have licensing fees to pay.
And that's why they would actually limit the amount of sets, the amount of new sets they would release for those themes in those years too. Like it was really apparent with Star Wars because like in 2003, 2004, you got like a few sets, but then 2005, and you got like a huge smack of Revenge of the Sith. Like it was like their entire like year's worth of stuff put in like in like what was it, May that it came out? Yeah, May.
Yeah.
They just put in like entire year's worth of content into May.
And a video game.
And a video game, yeah. And it started a whole franchise even there.
Yeah.
And a sweepstakes.
That is something you can even see.
Yeah. So you have these big themes coming out, these very large, story-driven, expensive, conflict-oriented themes. This is really Lego's first foray into personal conflict, battles, violence.
Ironically, also the point where it became more mainstream in the Western world in the US.
I'm not going to corroborate that as necessarily accurate.
Before this point, a much larger chunk of Lego sales was Germany.
That's interesting.
Where Lego really started.
Yeah, where the market shifted from like, Europe, Eastern Europe to United States, North America.
Got it. Okay, I see where you're coming from. Okay, yeah. So then Lego is like, it'd be really great if we had a big theme like Star Wars, but we didn't have to fork over so much of the licensing money. That'd be awesome. Galador and Bionicle. Galador is what we would consider a modern-day Big Bang theme, where they pour all this time and money and effort and resources and advertising and marketing, and are like, all right, come on, you got this, Galador. It's going, it's flying. Oh no,
it's Chima.
Surprise!
Chima did better, but I feel like by Lego's expectations, it's similar.
Lego's expectations, as far as we are concerned from a fan perspective, is 3 years, because they planned 3 years ahead. Chima lasted 3 years and had a storyline conclusion. It is considered for us a success.
Oh wait, it had a conclusion?
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
Yes.
I'm just saying it's not a success in when Chima
Oddly
was
enough,
intended
that
to replace
conclusion is-
Ninjago, but it would never achieve the success Ninjago did like they wanted it.
Could you imagine the alternate reality where Ninjago falters and Chima becomes like
don't
the
want to.
next
I would like
big
to imagine
deal?
an alternate
Could you-
reality where Galador actually got
Oh
an
my
ending.
Could you imagine Haley like on our podcast and we're like talking about the intricacies of like the Chima lore and she's like geeking out over like all the
I must say, I hate everything you're saying this very second.
Even
Could you
if that
imagine
were the
Chima
case-
streetwear? Could you imagine?
Oh yes, the
Like
Chima
X
grip.
Oh my goodness! I would definitely spend like $800 on a Chima streetwear suit from like
You
the Kill
disgust
Bill
me.
thing or whatever. Yeah.
Disgust me. So
Man,
you have these themes. They both go up. Bionicle is a substantial success. It is massive. The theme makes Star Wars money, then some, with no licensing fees.
Do we need to debunk the common myth that Star Wars made more money than Bionicle again? Because I feel like
a certain book we could
there's still
read
so many
that could
eight-balls
debunk
that will say that Bionicle didn't save Lego Star Wars did, which is just false. By many Lego officials, this has been debunked numerous times. While Star Wars did definitely have the sales numbers, it had nowhere near the profitability of Bionicle.
Yeah. And I feel
Moment
like there's
of
a certain
silence.
book that we could read that could even help corroborate some of this information.
You know,
I wonder what that book is called.
I actually wish they would release like a sequel to Brick by Brick now, because I'd love someone to delve into Lego's marketing history more so in the last decade.
Here we go. Got it. Basically earmarked specifically for this purpose.
Oh, got the book that I was thinking of.
This is
Interesting.
quote, Brick by Brick, How Lego Rewrote the Rules of Innovation and Conquered the Global Toy Industry by David C. Robertson. In 2001, its inaugural year, Bionicle's sales exceeded $160 million, and the Toy Industry Association declared it the year's most innovative toy. In 2003, the year the rest of Lego came crashing down, Bionicle's soaring sales accounted for approximately 25% of the company's total revenue and more than 100% of its profit, as the rest of the company was tumbling into a net loss, making it a financial anchor in turbulent times. By mid-2004, while Nudstorp and Olufsen were busy closing down unprofitable lines and selling off assets, the Lego Bionicle website averaged 1 million page views per month, and the toy spawned a host of fan-generated sites. That year, retailers sold a Bionicle set every 1.4 seconds. By the end of the toy's 9-year run, Lego would sell some 190 million Bionicle figures, more than the combined populations of France, the United Kingdom, and Italy. 85% of American boys aged 6 to 12 would know of the Bionicle brand, and 45% would own at least one. The Bionicle book series, numbering 46 books, regularly topped the sales lists for young adult fiction. At one point in 2003, the DC Comics Bionicle books, with a circulation of 1.5 to 2 million copies every other month, were the world's most widely read comics.
It feels so weird to be part of so many statistics at once.
While that comic book statistic is very impressive, it's not that impressive considering the state of the comic book industry at the time, I'm going to be honest. And the way the comic book industry still is.
It was inflated because it was free, but that doesn't take away from the fact that everyone read it.
It's Superman.
Someone had to have actively signed up for it. So
try to find another male our age that does not know about Bionicle. It's pretty hard. If you grew up in the 2000s, you knew about Bionicle.
Most of the people I work with now know of Bionicle.
Oh, so here's an interesting story now. Like, I forget at one point I was just on like a road trip with my friend and his wife, and like I had my phone on shuffle for the music. Then all of a sudden Move Along started playing, and it was his wife who said, "Hey, isn't this the song from that Bionicle commercial back in the day?"
Yep.
Like
I was about to say, like, oh, I know people our age who like who don't know what that is, and I'm like, no wait, no, I don't. I just hang out with like mostly like old people actually. So yeah, you're right. Now that I think about it, wow.
Yeah, so it's fascinating to see how substantially large the theme was. In addition to all of that, Bionicle pushed the boundary one more time. Well, okay, maybe not one more time, but one of a series of times it would end up doing so. The Matanui Online game. Matanui Online game is a fascinating tale of development, of balancing story and functionality, of all sorts of things. And if I can find Templar Studios
for their blog.
Yeah, there is so Templar Studios designed the game. They made the Matanui
They
Online
still
game.
like actively post to that blog, right?
I don't think they actively do it this time, but they did, and they
Mm.
posted a slew of Bionicle-related blog entries. And as soon as the website finishes loading,
There's a
why, we
long
will
loading
see-
animation for this site.
Do they work on Rocket League?
Do they?
Oh,
They do.
It's on their
really?
website.
I think.
They sold out. They went mainstream.
You have to at some point.
And you got.
I mean,
I'm
that's
trying to
the-
see what their actual involvement. It just you keep on this. I'm gonna research their involvement in Rocket League here.
As soon as I can find their blog, I know what their blog is.
But anyway,
Wait.
what exactly is the growing yeah.
Here we go. Monog program. Lee Coro. So there's a growing point here in just a second.
I
as soon
feel
as I can
like
find the actual...
I feel like it's a scene that may or may not be in a thumbnail. May have
May or
sparked
may
So
not
for-
be.
controversies.
Real quick, just the Rocket League thing. It looks like they're responsible for some models of a van, like the Crave van model, also including Grand Theft Auto 5, was created by Templar Studios.
Oh, cool.
So they're like creating assets, basically.
Huh.
Ridiculously impressive. I did not realize that they were still so active in the game industry.
So yeah, it looks like now they might not be making their own games entirely, but they create a lot of assets and like parts of games.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Anyway.
Goodness, I'm trying. There's a specific blog entry.
Oh no, they made a game for KFC.
Which one? Which one?
Colonel
Was it
versus
the one that's
Colonel.
supposed to run on the.
Oh,
Is that the one that's exclusive to the KFC console that was?
No, no,
rivaling
this
the
is a while
PS5
ago.
And you could. Oh, okay, because that would be kind of a
I'm
great
just
meme.
in looking through here. They have so much random stuff they've had their hand in.
Look, I just want the console so I can have a chicken. All right.
You can just buy a chicken warmer.
Did they actually sell those? Is that
Yeah.
still a thing? Okay, I thought they were just memeing. Just like those Bionicle fans, you know what I'm saying? Just memeing.
Were you able to find the blog, LJ?
Still looking for
Can we
it.
just talk about it then? Because it's taking too long.
I mean, listen, it's important because they elaborate on it. It's
I'm not sure their current site
Probably-
is that easy to get to here. Their site is very much set up for a resume currently.
Ah.
okay. Found it.
So
Here
they're
we go.
hiring, you're saying?
No,
There
they're
we
looking
go.
for people to hire them.
So
Oh.
here, this is from Templar Studios blog, and this is in regards to the thumbnail image, a fight, just pretty standardly known as Liwa versus Onua. So they say this. LEGO was in bad shape that year. It had suffered record losses globally, but Bionicle had pulled it out of the fire and become the #1 selling action figure in all of Toyland. It was experiencing its own narrative crescendo from the depths of despair, closed offices, lost jobs, bankruptcy, to the height of redemption. They were in the black again. Not that we knew that at the time, mind. No one ever told us anything. But inside LEGO's offices was another struggle. How do we handle this new phenomenon? Theirs was a golden brand, home to peaceful play and creativity in children. But its new heroes were fearsome warriors, armed to the teeth with brutal-looking weapons, razor-sharp axes, flaming swords, gruesome claws. The model team and the marketing team had to work it out. And they did, and the word came down from Denmark. They're not weapons, they're tools. Tools of destruction, Naomi laughed, our liaison at the time. I mean, yeah, in their plays, I don't think the Bionicle fans were having Liwa chop down trees with that axe of his. Nonetheless, we got it. Our action sequences were full of daring escapes, cave-ins, collapsing bridges, or just dodged boulders. When someone needed to blast a Rahi, they blasted instead the rocks in the cave above their head. No Rahi were outright stabbed in the making of the game. Buried alive, maybe. And if a tool did find its mark, it did so off-screen. Now, at the end, it was time to draw out the main theme that had been with us since the beginning. The story was about a battle. But between who? Violence, for us, had a different meaning. When we weren't working, we were playing Counter-Strike. 5 or 6 of us in the studio late at night, teaming up as terrorists or counter-terrorists on pub servers to take it down.
Is this?
This is verbatim.
This was pre 9/11.
This
Won't
was
make it worse.
teaming up as terrorists or counter-terrorists on pub servers to take down some other 5 or 6 guys online. When we played as terrorists, of course, we didn't say that. Freedom fighters, we would call ourselves. But as the excavators pulled the rubble from ground zero in the snow, we couldn't play it anymore. Terrorist meant something else now. And what we'd seen from a rooftop, keep in mind, they are based in New York, the game just wasn't fun anymore. Good and evil just wasn't good enough anymore. It didn't make sense anymore. But this was okay, because from the beginning, that's not what it was about. The Makuta wasn't evil, and his brother Matanui wasn't good. So they continue on. They talk more about the kind of gray area between Makuta and Matanui. But the interesting distinction here is they were very specifically implored not to have the Toa directly fight. There were no actual hits, there were no actual connections of weapons and tools.
And that's right. Like in the animation, you only get to see like the swooshes.
Except
clangs.
But there are actual direct hits.
Mm-hmm.
Like at no point is anyone under the belief that Liwa kicked a rock or a boulder into friggin' Onua. No. When you heard a clang, when you heard any kind of a hit, or you saw a flash on screen, it was Liwa's axe connecting with Onua's claws or some other portion of him. There was a fight happening between two characters, and they were using their weapons to do so. After that point, LEGO became far more bold, far more accepting of this physical conflict. Way more. You saw it in Mask of Light, time and time again. You saw it in numerous other forms of LEGO media, time and time again. You actually started seeing combat between characters from the get-go. Knight's Kingdom had an arena as its beginning. I think it was Jaco versus Vladik.
That was the climax, but there was a set where you had two slammers and you planted your fist into them to send them charging at each other to unhorse them.
I will say this was a point too where LEGO's upper management basically switched over after 2004.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then that
they started making real fire trucks again.
Yep. So, yeah, it started substantially changing and shifting. But it started when their largest theme at the time properly, actually had characters fight.
Which they basically did by asking for forgiveness instead of permission.
More or less.
That's why you should always take the strategy with your HOA as well. This is how you get ahead in life.
You should also never join an HOA.
Yeah, that's true.
What is an HOA?
Do not join an HOA.
Reject your homeowners association. Grow corn in your front lawn.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Basically like a snootier neighborhood watch. Got it.
I would just overthrow the HOA and become the new one. And, you play by my rules now. I lord over you all.
Now, another story I want to mention, the history of LEGO and violence. I wish I knew more about, what Traveler's Tales went through for their games. I haven't found a great resource on that. But in Brick by Brick, it also talks about LEGO Universe and violence. There's a very particular story where NetDevil was developing the game, and they had a bunch of Danish executives flying to, I believe, Texas, where they were based. And they had a test model, or, a tech demo of the game, where kids were going around and hitting a monkey with a hammer. And one of the Danish executives lost it and flipped out, just stormed out of the room because of the violence level of he said, "You really think we're going to endorse kids hitting a monkey with a hammer?"
It's very specific.
And he made them scrap the entire game and start over again.
Wow.
Actually, that reminds me so much of the story of like, what were they making, like a Donkey Kong game, and they had his like coconut cannon, but they were using actual
A
guns
shotgun,
like,
yeah.
yeah, they were using a shotgun the whole
Wow.
time, and then when they actually had the demo for the Nintendo chief guy at the time, he came down and they didn't replace the guns with anything else.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was just guns.
Yeah, I recall. That's a very interesting story, the development of Donkey Kong 64.
Is this long? where it's
Nintendo has a
coconut?
lot of similarities with Lego in that respect. With, like, Nintendo's history of the violence and other, like, deeper themes. And I won't get into it here, but the reason to bring up the Lego Universe thing, this was, like, 2007, 2008 when this happened. Lego had an internal struggle with how far to go with violence. Different people had different ideas of it for years, and I'd say to this day, it's never been clear-cut since.
Mhm.
Another thing Lego had for a while is they said that we'll now do violence in themes, but we'll never have a licensed theme that is a first-person shooter.
Yeah, no Half-Life sets.
Interestingly, we've got Portal, which
Overwatch.
maybe you can argue wasn't quite a first-person shooter, even though it is.
Also Overwatch.
And then Overwatch, which is very much a first-person shooter, even though it's definitely fantasy.
But
It is definitely shooting, and there are actual bullets.
you know what preceded both of those?
I'm sure I'm gonna think I'm
First
stupid.
First-person shooter that Lego made a theme for?
Bionicle.
Counter-Strike? No.
Minecraft.
But Minecraft isn't a first-person shooter, though.
Yeah, it's an over-the-shoulder
Why not?
third-person game.
Why is Minecraft not a first-person shooter?
Also, that is
While-
a very violent theme. I mean, you
while
gotta like get all
Portal
the
is.
kinds of resources and kill.
You know, I would agree with
I also
LJ.
don't think Portal isn't a first-person shooter either. It's a puzzle game.
I actually think
First
LJ has a point, though. I'm sure there are people in Lego, like the older executives, who thought Minecraft was way too violent of a video game, too.
No,
Yeah.
I actually
hear
disagree because I don't think any of them would have committed to playing the game long enough to build a bow.
You forget when Minecraft was at its peak. There were articles and like mainstream news articles that were constantly talking about the worrying of how violent Minecraft is for children.
Okay, I was about to be like that can't be true, but then I remembered like there was all like I don't know what the Pokemon scandals
I
and
mean,
stuff
like,
like it was
I-
like demonic and they had children summoning Satan in their homes or whatever.
I remember
That was
part of the
D&D.
reason, at least like from my like kind of far off view of the situation, was when they were saying that Minecraft was really violent. Part of the reason was because of like all of the online servers with Hunger Games on it.
Oh yeah, okay. The community was violent. It wasn't that Minecraft was violent.
But regardless,
Because the mechanics were built in, essentially. For that
there's
purpose.
like how far they'd go with
Like,
license
connected.
themes really varied over the years. For a while, it was they'd only do anything G-rated, and then it became, of course, with Revenge of the Sith, PG-13.
They haven't done anything R-rated though.
But-
Well, they did indie as well.
That came
they did
later. Yeah,
They
the
did a
Temple
set
of
where a
Doom.
guy gets his heart ripped out.
But they would still say they didn't do anything of the PG-13 scenes, like Lego's official like staff.
They made a set with the flying wing where a guy gets his head chopped
Yeah,
off.
okay.
By
That's the thing. They were very two-faced in what their PR would say and what their sets produced during the later
Wing
2000s.
that goes through the tunnel, you know, in Last Crusade.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because
It
us
could
not being
also
on the
be
Lego
same one
message
that got
boards,
pecked to death.
you guys would remember this, arguing with Lego's PR people about them like having these scripts to say about what Lego would do and wouldn't do and how it didn't match up with their sets at all.
And the things we would say
Yeah.
around not typing the word kill, because if we did, we'd get our post banned.
That was another thing, yeah, too, where Lego had an issue with the word kill and anything. Obviously, now Ninjago has completely thrown that out. Like, Ninjago does not pretend that death isn't a thing. Ninjago is actually...
Oh yeah.
Many of the arcs are about death.
Oh, you know, I think it was the same year. I might be wrong about this. 2005, Goblet of Fire.
Mhm.
Was that PG-13?
I'm
pretty
sure it
would've been.
was. And that was also where they
Yeah,
literally featured a corpse in one of the Lego sets.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
And then another major thing was The Dark Knight Rises. they would say they'd like base it off of different material for some of these sets, like Harry Potter's like, oh, we're basing off the books and not the movies. I'm not making that up. That was what Lego PR would say. But then when it came to like the Dark Knight Rises, they had the Dark Knight Rises logo on the box. Then I forget what point they were talking about they do it for PG-13 movies, but not movies with like certain themes or like went so far. That was totally thrown out with Marvel when they really got into the Marvel stuff.
Oh yeah, with Spider-Man, just straight up, actually no,
not Spider-Man.
The first Spider-Man wasn't that PG-13?
They would have all been PG-13.
So that was the first PG-13 property.
Well, yeah, the first Spider-Man was PG-13.
Yeah, and that came out in 2002, 2000, somewhere around that.
2002. It's 2002.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's the thing. You can find holes in this all over, but Lego would still claim they didn't do PG-13 themes. So it was a weird time, and I feel like then Ninjago kind of took off from Bionicle. Ninjago had a lot more mainstream media than Bionicle did. Like, actually, I being on network television, having full series, at first Ninjago was a lot safer with its themes as well. They didn't mention anyone dying particularly, they just kind of alluded to it. Like, kind of kept away from all the dark stuff. As we got more and more into Ninjago, though, we got things like corpses, direct mentions of death, characters threatening to kill each other, stuff like that.
There's past mentions of wars, like the Serpentine War in the very first season. Things like that.
So, Lego has really gotten over that concept as well, that they can't mention death or anything. And then, within these past couple of years now, they've even gotten over the concept that all Lego sets have to be based towards children, which, again, they've kind of been doing for years. There's been sets that have clearly been marketed towards an adult audience, but now they're actually saying, we're making sets specifically with adults in mind here. So it's really interesting to see that shift, and I'm wondering when we're going to see it taken further, because I don't think we've reached the limit at this point.
Take it to the limit.
Now, correct me if...
I think it's kind of interesting, like, they're making more sets that are geared solely towards adults. And at my target, this might just be my target specifically, they stock those sets. They are all shelf warming, like you would.
Really? They sell out immediately here.
Really? Yeah, that's the thing. Like, that's what's so interesting to me. Like, I see that they're sold out. Like, I think they're sold out online. Like, the last time I checked.
Yeah, they're completely. I tried to get the bonsai tree again today, and it's still sold out.
Well, actually, it's just the helmets. Actually, it's just those helmets.
I've got it.
And Star Wars helmets. Like, okay.
But
maybe it's just them.
Shelf warming, honestly, is not a valid statistic for anything. That can mean something's really popular if it's shelf warm because the store ordered more of them.
I mean, we also thought Bionicle G2 was doing really well, but it turns out they just weren't.
Yeah, we're not opening that can of worms.
Mine sold well.
It did?
Oh, another thing I wanted to touch on with the violence. Dino Attack in Dino 2010. Who here knows about that?
Horribly violent.
Oh yeah, so like apparently it was too violent. This is of course like
I talked about the difference between like the European audience and the Western North American audience.
Yeah, so the American audience in 2005, year before released in Europe, got like tanks and all kinds of guns and stuff, and the dinosaurs were like described as like, I think it was the T-Rex specifically. They described as having the power of a nuclear reactor.
Yeah, they're mutant dinosaurs.
Yes, but then when they put it over to Europe and Eastern markets, they decided this is way too violent. All right, this is way too North American. We got to take away the guns. So they decided to give net launchers instead of tank barrels. In this case that you posted here, instead of a big bazooka-looking gun, how about have a whip with a chain at the end to catch the dinosaur? Like, okay, sure, let's go with it.
He looks happy to be caught. Finally.
looks happier in Dino Attack.
Does anyone remember the Dino games though?
Yeah.
Those were really violent.
Yeah, you just shot up
Yes,
all the
they were.
dinosaurs with bullets.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Sounds amazing.
LJ, you're familiar with this phenomenon, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I partially grew up with Dino Attack.
Also, a fun little thing here: the set that from Dino Attack, I actually got that from Master. Really cool.
Yes.
Now, something I do
Oh,
want to
there-
point out, I actually think some of the European versions of these sets are way better, though.
You're wrong.
Specifically with this one with the treads here.
You picked
No.
a terrible example.
The tank is
Yeah,
perfect.
That's just a bad example. Have you seen the Typhoon? Have you? Seen
I said
it in
some of the sets,
person?
not all of them. In general, I like the American one better, but I'm saying like this one with the treads, it looks way better without the ugly railgun on top of it.
No, railgun is
It's
glorious.
Canon, and you're wrong.
I don't.
What are you? What? Why would you have a tank without a cannon?
Exactly.
You wouldn't. It's not a tank.
I just think
Like,
the
what kind of
cockpit looks
vehicle is
nicer.
this that's dragging this T-Rex around? Like,
Yeah,
What is
like,
that?
What is this? The tank?
Man,
It's
Dino
not
2010, like
proper
the
tank.
logo even looks so like bootleg. What's going
I don't
on
think they
here?
put much budget into retheming it for Europe.
Also, it's important to note for everyone that might not be aware, Dino Attack, Dino 2010, same theme, came out in 2005. Did not come out in 2010.
Hmm. This is
thought
the
Dino
future.
2010 I thought Dino
it was-
2010 was 2006. I think it came out a year
Yeah,
later.
Ballpark.
Yeah,
Why is the O in Dino Attack the Eye of Sauron?
it's
Why
supposed to be a
not?
dinosaur eye.
Okay.
I don't know.
But yeah, it was supposed to be like an apocalyptic future where they're rounding up dinosaurs.
Did they predict
Why
Jurassic
2010 though? Like
Because it's predicting the end of Bionicle.
when Bionicle ends, the dinosaurs will rise to cleanse this earth with hellfire.
Ironically, originally in 2010, Bionicle should have had dinosaurs.
that is
This shit way
this
too
is just what
pathetic, man.
happened. When they killed all the Bionicles, the dinosaurs were just unchecked. They just ravaged the earth.
That's terrible.
But yeah, I just thought that was an interesting footnote to mention. Like, Lego's gone back and forth for so long. I feel like now their policy basically is whatever is going to make us money, we're going to make, and I'm cool with that.
That scares me a little bit, though. A little bit.
I think Lego listening to the consumer is a good thing. If
Yeah,
Lego
I
would listen
guess
to the
so.
consumer, we'd have our Bionicle 90th anniversary set.
True. Yeah, it is
Only
true.
if we vote. We need more than 30,000 people to vote for Bionicle.
I mean, we can get it to most popular. That again, it doesn't necessarily mean.
I
It's
still-
fine. It doesn't listen. It does, like I've said before. It doesn't matter if it gets a set. What matters,
Is that we
We
crush
can send a
those who
message.
insulted us.
Yes,
we are sending a message to Lego that we're still interested in more. And we're sending a message to the AFOL community that we are not going absolutely friggin' anywhere, and we're here to stay, and we're just as valid as Lego fans as literally anyone else.
Now, my nightmare
Relax.
is someone creating a bot that's going to spam votes for Bionicle and making us all look really bad.
Yeah,
They,
please don't do
listen,
that.
if TTV
Please
has
don't
a
be
way
a bad
to,
actor.
if our website on TTV has a way to handle that, multi-billion-dollar company Lego does.
Well,
Now, they can handle it.
Any polls a goal.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm being internet historian here.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, but
If you-
I know. I'm sure
If
Lego
you
has
want-
some precautions in place. Being someone who is into cybersecurity myself, I can tell you there are ways to do it. Very simple ways. Which
Into it, literally your college mate.
what a yeah.
Well,
But no,
if
like-
you wanted to,
If you want to bypass it, you just use a VPN, which randomly hops all over the place, create a spider that creates different accounts in different regions. They'll never be able to track it as an illegitimate account that way.
Just tell people.
Here, hang on a second. I'm gonna DM Dolan Dark and PewDiePie and ask them to put this in a video.
You might as well.
You know, actually, a surefire way to do this legitimately, if you had enough time, you would just spam PewDiePie's subreddit with like a ton of subpar Bionicle memes, and eventually they'd end up.
Why?
Eventually, it would end up in like one of Felix's videos.
Does he do meme review anymore?
No, he does Lawai or whatever, where basically all of his content is either streaming Among Us for like 15 hours straight or Minecraft, or he's just reviewing his Reddit. So
we could totally do a Reddit takeover.
Basically,
I'm not endorsing this, but
LJ, if you want to win, just make another video, get 10,000 views, get 10,000 people to go like bomb PewDiePie's Reddit with Bionicle memes.
I will keep that in mind.
And then you'll
I haven't had enough time to think this through, but it doesn't sound malicious.
No, pretty fair if you ask me. I mean,
it's less malicious than creating a bot. You instead of a bot, you just have legitimately hundreds of thousands of people
the space fans
voting
did it
for
with the
Bionicle.
NASA website,
It's
and
true.
they got the ISS.
True, NASA
So,
does this
there you
all
go.
the time on Lego Ideas.
Yes.
No, yeah, if you just like wanted to win, yeah, you would just get 10,000 people to just go post Bionicle memes on PewDiePie's subreddit, and then there you go.
Look at that, space fans. We're using your tactics against you.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Boom.
Something to
Interesting
consider,
note too.
LJ.
There's so many YouTubers that like aren't Lego or even toy based where you'll randomly see Bionicle videos or references in there.
Well, no,
and
Bionicle's already shown up on like some of PewDiePie's videos from like a while ago, and when he was reviewing Reddit
Also,
stuff.
Just a short note, we're gonna end here in a moment, but I've noticed that Ninjago memes make it into mainstream memes, like some of the templates now, and I just find that hilarious.
That's kind of cool.
Like, it's especially the one with like where all the ninjas are saying something, then Zane says something completely off base. Somehow that has made it in as a mainstream template now, and that surprises me.
Interesting.
That's fantastic.
So, yeah, I just find that fun, but that is going to do it for the show today. We went a little bit over. Real quick, let me see if anyone's mentioned anything in the chat here that's very interesting. Mostly just stuff we went over here. But again, vote for Bionicle in the poll. Not because we'll get a set, just to prove we're better than everyone else.
Vote for pirates?
No, honestly, if you're going to vote... All the other themes are boring. Like, if you're going to put another classic theme in, like, I'm cool with that too. Yeah, but it should have been like Blacktron or Adventures or, something cool, not just...
Yeah. Also,
white
I still
bread.
can't get over the fact that Adventures was beaten by trains. Not that I have anything against trains, but like...
I would rather trains than classic space or pirates still.
Trains?
Trains are cool.
Come on.
Trains are classy. I like classy stuff. We've been over this.
When you walk around in circles, like, come on, man. Adventurers. It's bootleg Indiana Jones, but he's cooler because he's Australian.
And like I said, it would be nice if Lego just like every year or so just release some sort of legacy type set. Kind of like, how they do with Ninjago, like update an old set with newer stuff. But if they just like cycled through older popular themes, I think that would be a really cool thing for Lego to do. And it would keep us from getting these types of controversies as well.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again, LJ, for joining us. Good discussion today.
Thank you guys for having me. Hopefully I didn't bore everyone with my in-depth Bionicle conversations.
And, of course, hopefully we'll have you on again soon, next time some controversy comes up. Or not. Maybe just for a normal topic next time. So, for Ford, Leo, Malurus, Orion, and myself, LQ, we thank you for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.